We will talk about the possibility to attract toxic persons in this video. Is it true? Can we be toxic people magnets or not? Some people claim that we can't because the narcissist will feed on other people. They will hunt down people that are vulnerable, that have trouble to set boundaries, and that are empathetic, and they will hunt down these people, and because they know that they are easy to manipulate. And while this is true, it is also true that we are attracted to these kinds of persons for a reason. So it's not only one. We can't look at the one side of the coin only. We need to see the whole perspective. And to be honest, a relationship is a dynamic. It takes two to tango, and there are two persons in this relationship, and there's a reason why these two persons have been attracted to each other. And another thing about narcissism is that it comes on a spectra, which means that there are levels of narcissism on that spectra. And essentially, narcissism, it means how much you are focused on others versus yourself. So a narcissism is fully focused on themselves, while a people pleaser is focusing on others rather than themselves. And it's only when you are on the far end of the spectra that the persons that are narcissists will strategically hunt people down as prey. There are other emotionally unavailable persons on that spectra that are not a fully fledged narcissist. And we can still be attracted to them. So first of all, let's define what a toxic person is. That is someone that will constantly trigger our core wounds, and it will put us in a fight or flight state. This is when we are just reaction. So that is just when we are reacting on something. We can't use our logical, rational brain in those situations, and these persons will say something that will trigger us and put us in this state. It can be a narcissist, or it can be a person showing narcissistic personality traits, someone that is emotionally unavailable. And the reason why they are usually triggering us is because when they are emotionally unavailable, they are focusing on themselves, they have less empathy, and if they withdraw, they can withdraw because they have problems to connect emotionally, and when they withdraw, it will trigger our fear of being abandoned. So this is why it will constantly trigger us, because they are emotionally unavailable, they withdraw, and we want to connect emotionally. So I want to talk a bit about the attachment theory to get some more background and to understand how we got to where we are. This is the theory that humans are born with a need to form emotional bonds to our caregivers. Our attachment style will start to form in the early months from we are a newborn, and this will lay the ground for our ability to form healthy adult relationships, or our inability to form them as well. Depending on how our needs are met by our caregivers, our attachment style will be formed. There are 4 different attachment styles. I will briefly walk through them. I will not go through all of them. We have the secure attachment, we have the dismissive avoidant, we have the fearful avoidant, and we have the anxious attachment style. I will focus on the anxious attachment style because this is where most of us will find ourselves, and we will recognize these patterns when we are attracted to persons that are emotionally unavailable, and these are the core wounds that we need to deal with as well. And it's also important to mention that this also comes in a spectrum. We will have a part of all of these attachment styles in us, but there will be 1 or 2 that we will recognize more. So the anxious attachment style had caregivers, or the anxious attachment individual had caregivers that were absent one moment and loving and present the next one. So they were very inconsistent in their love language, so making the child feel like they withdraw and never knowing when they come back. This individual, the anxious individual, can connect with parents emotionally, but they have strong longing when they disappear or withdraw. And since this is their love language style to the kid, they withdraw and then they connect. This will create a longing on the kid's side for when they come back. And when they do come back, this will release oxytocin, a lot of oxytocin, which is the love or cuddle hormone, and the child will feel good when they come back. But when they withdraw, the child will get anxious because they don't know when they will come back or if they will come back, and they don't know what to do with their emotions. So they are just waiting and longing for their parents to come back and soothe them. This makes the children develop a reliance on their caregivers to soothe them. So the child never learns how to self-soothe their emotions. This is something we need to learn as we grow up. But this has become an addiction. And in fact, when someone is withdrawing and coming back, it creates a more, like the inconsistency of love, it creates a more steadily flow of oxytocin, which means that we have become addicted to our parents' way of managing our love. So we are addicted to these hormones that are being released when they come back. And when they withdraw, we feel addicted for them, like an addiction, like they need to come back, they need to soothe our pain, they need to soothe our pain from missing them, and we rely on this has become an addiction. As well have we created a fear of being abandoned because of this love language that our parents had when we were kids. You can probably recognize this pattern in your adult relationships as well, that you can't self-soothe. You enter a state of despair when you think that your partner is going to leave you. But when they come back, even if they did, they might have wronged you in many ways, but when they come back, you just forgive everything because it feels so good. And the reason for that is because you are just used to that cycle of hormones, and they are soothing you when they come back. But this is an never-ending cycle, and it's an addiction. It's a love addiction. So the typical traits of the anxious attached individual is fear of being rejected, highly self-sacrificing, to people please. Why do we self-sacrifice? Why do we people please? The reason why we do this is because we think that if we give everything we think our partner wants and needs, they will not leave us. They will stay with us. And remember that we have created a fear of being abandoned. So this is what's driving our behavior. We don't want to be abandoned. So we're trying to make sure that we will not be abandoned, and we're trying to solve situations like this. And we also self-sacrifice a lot. The problem with this behavior is that we also think that these persons will reciprocate what we're doing for them, which they most often don't. And specifically narcissists, they are used to getting people doing this for them, so they don't appreciate when someone is doing this for them. They are used to people sacrificing for them, so we don't get a thank you, we don't get the love reciprocated in any way, but we feel resentment at the same time because we are not getting the love and affection that we are giving. We are not getting it back. We talked about the strong fear of abandonment as well. And another typical trait is that the anxious individual put themselves down whilst putting their partner on a pedestal. The core belief with the anxious individual is that we are expecting to be rejected, abandoned, since attention from our parents were continuously given and then also taken away. So the inconsistency in the love language from our parents has created a core belief and a core wound as well, expecting us to be abandoned or rejected at any time. It's like abandonment lies just around the corner in any situation. And this is what also triggers us. We can become triggered by small things, and we can act irrationally, and then it's also when we start to self-sabotage. So we make relationships worse by acting out on our triggers. So let's talk more about the beliefs, how the acting out on triggers, how it works. So we have a belief that we have abandonment lying around the corner at any time. So let's say that your partner, he wants to have some alone time. Just from him saying, I want to be alone today, it can trigger intense feelings inside of you because you have a fear of being rejected and abandoned. So you will start to you will start to process and think many things based on this belief. So you might think that if he leaves now, he will probably never come back. He probably doesn't want to be with me because you fear of being abandoned. So this is the thought that is created on your core belief, which is, I mean, if you're not triggered by something, if you are in a calm state, this doesn't make sense, but you can't control, like consciously, you can't control these automations from happen. You need to put intentional effort to change this automation, and this is also how you heal. So you start to think that if he leaves now, he will probably never come back. This will kickstart automation in your body. You are triggered, you think that he will leave, you will feel dizzy. That was a funny spelling, but hey, you will feel dizzy, you will feel short of breath, and you might even feel like you're going to die because you feel like you are going to be abandoned. So you're starting to feel these intense emotions, and then the automation in your body will continue and it will make you do something. So what do you want to do? You need to find a solution. He can't leave you now, he can't leave you. So you get on your bare knees and you plead for him to stay, because you think if you do that, he will not abandon you, he will not leave you. So this is how you are getting triggered. So if you are with someone that is triggering these automations in your body all the time, that becomes a toxic person. And it doesn't have to mean that that person is a narcissist. It means that you need to work on your core wounds, and that you need to work on your core wounds and your possibility to communicate what is triggering your core wounds at the same time as that person needs to understand your core wounds. And the more narcissistic traits that person have, the more that person is on the scale, the more impossible it will be to have that conversation with them, because they will not be able to change. But if they